Hello everybody, welcome back to Clegg Comms. We're here tonight for the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. This is round 16 of his 24 round season on F1 25 for season 14. So we're coming on towards the business end of the season, and the championship is still very much in the mix, with currently only 4 points separating the reigning champion Glenn and Justify at the top of the leaderboard. So obviously after Zandvoort, Glenn had a bit of a stinker, and Justify was able to capitalise with a P2. So he's currently got the momentum here after that. But you can't rule out Scott, who's currently sat in third place in the standings right now, 49 points off of the championship leader Glenn. So Scott is certainly not out of this battle either. He could very feasibly do a Kimi Räikkönen and potentially a Max Verstappen this season even. Who knows how that's going to transpire, but certainly the championship very much on here as we approach what will be the final third of the season after tonight. So lots on the line, and also we've got a very surprise pole sitter here tonight. We've got Mark there doing the fast Verstappen qualifying a few moments ago, so Mark will be starting this one at the front of the field, and he'll be starting just ahead of Glenn, obviously, who will be in second place. So looks like Mark's gone for the hard tyres. Glenn, T and Scott have all gone for the mediums. I didn't quite catch what the others were on here, but I think tonight we're missing Justify. Didn't see Justify's name on the list, so I don't think we're going to have Justify on the track, which is going to be a real pain here for Justify. Obviously Glenn will be starting in second place and is in a prime position here to we'll definitely be able to gain a heck of a lot of points here. But nonetheless, we're moments away from the start of the Italian Grand Prix here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. And here we go, lights coming on ahead. We're about to go racing here at Monza. And it's lights out, we're underway. And a good start there on the left from Glenn. Got a better start than Mark, and he's going to probably be leading here down towards turn 1. Looks like he's just alongside here on the inside. Mark goes very late on the brakes and actually holds it around the outside beautifully there. So Mark stays in the lead for the time being. Scott there managing to keep ahead of T on the exit of turn 1. We can see a Red Bull there getting a little bit out of shape, as looks like Salva there of John is down to the back of the pack. Wasn't a Red Bull, because there was a Red Bull. It was G.C. who made that mistake, but we've got a little bit of a twitch coming out of turn 1. In the meantime, we've got side by side here down towards Delaware chicane as Jarvis down the inside of Rexy Boy up into 5th place, and G.C. down to 8th place here on this opening lap of the race. So not the start that G.C. wanted, just ahead of Matty Street Boy. There's John, who's running well at the back there in P11 after a little bit of a chaotic first few corners for him. G.C. down the inside of Matty up into 7th place. Matty it's G.C. getting ahead of Mango. Mango is dropping down the order here. It's dropped down to P10. So Mango here getting passed by G.C. Matty and Street Boy, and going backwards here on the first lap. Must have some sort of damage, you would think, but in the meantime we're watching Mark coming down towards the parabolic here for the first time, with Glenn all over the back of him in the pursuit here to try and gain maximum points on his championship rival Justify, who's not here tonight. So this is a massive opportunity here for Glenn to really close to extend the gap in the championship, because he's 4 points ahead in the championship, let's not forget. So it's a chance for him to really put Justify on the back foot going into the final part of this season. But it's Mark still holding the lead for the time being, having got pole position a few minutes ago. And there's the rest of them all coming through turn 1 here on lap 2 of the race. And looks like nobody's really close enough to put the driver in front under tremendous pressure at this point. But they'll all change at the end of this lap, because there'll be DRS down not just the straight between Lesmo 2 and Ascari, but also down the main straight that we just saw a few moments ago. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities to overtake around here tonight, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of excitement on the track that we're going to see from these drivers here, putting on a great show as they always do here at Purple Sector. But there is Mark out the front with a reasonable gap at the moment. He's not under massive pressure at this stage, but we see Mark there moving to the inside as Glenn trying to get a bit closer here into Ascari, just a little bit too far away there. We've got Matty there moving ahead of G.C. up into 7th place, going through into Ascari. So Matty picking up our drivers there. Actually, he must have got back ahead of G.C. at some point, because those two had swapped places. But in the meantime, we have got T on the back of Scott coming down towards Parabolica. Around the outside he goes, and he has he gone a little bit too late on the brakes? No, he hasn't. He's done it beautifully. Problem is, though, he might have set himself up to immediately get re-overtaken here, because passing just before that DRS zone leaves you pretty vulnerable. Who's got the DRS? I don't think Oh yeah, Scott does have the DRS, so yeah, T did leave himself open there, as now Scott looks to the inside into turn one, but T goes later on the brakes and holds it around the outside. Nothing doing there for him. As in the meantime, we've had a change of lead because Clen has passed Mark down the main straight. So Clen has now hit the front here in this Italian Grand Prix here at Purple Sector tonight, as Mark there couldn't keep him behind. Going down that main straight, so great stuff there from Clen. Obviously Mark will be wanting to try and stick with him if he can, and maybe come back at him later on in the race, but for the time being the championship leader is showing why he is the championship leader so far here in this season. The champion from last season as well is Clen, so looking to try and defend his title this season, and at the moment as things stand with his championship rival not being here tonight, he's putting himself in a prime position to really capitalise enormously. In the background we've got Scott still on the back of T-Bone in his battle for third place. Also Rexy Boy's trying to cling to the back of Drauga in the fight for fifth, and John is actually close back onto the back of Street Boy here for P10 as well, so that's one we've got to watch in a few moments time. He could have a good chance here coming down the start finish straight, but there's Clen coming down the Parabolica. As we see in the background we've got Scott on the back of T going into Parabolica. He's going to have another chance here down the start finish straight. Drauga in the background waiting in the wings as Rexy Boy's fallen off on the back of Drauga a bit since Drauga got that move done a couple of laps ago. Here comes Scott though with DRS. He's going to breeze past T, and T might have to look out because Drauga's going to be not too far behind as well. But Scott there up into third place. T looking back to the inside there into turn one. He's too far back, and that's not going to happen as G.C. gets around Matty back up into seventh. And John here is looking to have a move here on Street Boy as he makes a move down the inside. So John up into the points there with a lovely move down the start finish. Oh no, he's gone wide. He's gone straight on at the runoff there. Tries to navigate the polystyrene blocks, but he wasn't going to make that one happen because just the formation that those polystyrene blocks are set out like is well, it's just ridiculous. You know, how are you supposed to navigate through those? But it's impossible. But anyway, John looked like he had the move done, couldn't quite make it stick there, went a little bit wide into turn one, and unfortunately for him has not been able to move up into 10th place for the time being. But Clen is still out the front, leading not by much. Mark is still keeping him honest out the front. Scott is keeping T at bay at the moment in the battle for third and fourth places. Can these guys start to close in on the leaders? Doesn't look like they're battling at the moment, which might allow Clen and Mark to just skip off into the distance a little bit here. As Rexy Boy coming under a bit of pressure here from G.C. who's managed to shake off Matty Pitt. So Matty currently hasn't quite got the pace of the Red Bull driver here tonight. G.C. here is going to have DRS on Rexy Boy. I don't think Rexy Boy has DRS on Drauga, so it's going to be a free shot here for G.C. and he's going to breeze past with the aid of the rear wing, and up into P6 goes G.C. So that is job done there for him going into turn one. And he'll be absolutely delighted with that. But in the meantime, it's still Clen out the front, leading the race by just over a second. Mark doesn't seem quite able to stick with him at this point. We see Scott there running just ahead of the T in the fight for third place. You've got Drauga, who's getting very close to the back of T now. We'll be fancying opportunity potentially in a few moments' time, riding on board with the Haas driver here, as we can see them going through Lesmo 1 at the moment. And Drauga looking pretty comfortable right now, I've got to say. T was just a little bit loose there coming out of Lesmo 2, and also don't think he has DRS here because he's out of the second catchment here to Scott. So Drauga with a free shot, but doesn't. Ascari, T again wide, really missed the apex there going through the first part of Ascari, but Drauga there got a little bit out of shape there on the curve on the exit of Ascari, and that was what cost him the chance to be able to get a good run down towards Parabolica. But he'll get another dose of DRS in a second, and T nowhere near close enough to Scott to have the DRS, so Drauga's going to get another bite of the cherry here. Look at that queue of cars here behind T. Drauga, G.C. Rexy Boy, Matty Pitt looking to try and get involved as we possibly can as well. But here comes Drauga to the inside. He's going to make this move here into turn one, and he's going to make it stick very easy indeed as T there takes a little bit of a unconventional line there going through turn one. Drauga goes straight on over the chicane as well. So clearly Drauga was caught out by T's antics there. And yeah, the way that F1 rules are going nowadays, it's the kind of thing where nothing would surprise you if the FIA gave a penalty to T for that. Honestly, in real life, nothing would surprise you. I mean, it's reminiscent of Australia last year when Alonso got a penalty for distracting Russell in the mirror or something like that. Apparently, his line through the corner was a distraction to the car. I mean, what bollocks! But yeah, basically, Drauga they're getting a penalty because of T's little feint to the inside, which is, yeah, in my opinion, that's racing. It's part of the rules. Oh no, John has made a mistake there going through Lesmo 1, has binned it into the wall, and he's going to have damage there on the car. Is that going to be a safety car? If there's a front wing on the track, then it may well be. Looks like it's not going to be, so it looks like we're okay. So John off and away without any dramas. As we see the first pit stop here, Clen is coming in at the end of lap 6. So Clen was the race leader, he's not anymore. So he's coming in, he's getting those medium tyres off, which he started the race on. But Mark in a very strong position here on the hard tyres, because he can go long into this first stint, and obviously the pace he's shown on those medium tyres is really quite incredible. Oh my goodness me, what was he doing? What was he doing there? Jesus Christ. What on earth was Mark doing? He just swerved onto the grass out of nowhere. Oh my goodness me. That was a bit worrying. G.Sealer in the meantime has managed to pull up onto the back of T in the battle for 4th place. So if T hasn't got DRS on Drauga in a moment's time, then this could be a golden opportunity here for G.Sealer to move another position here after a bit of a calamitous opening lap of the race. Rexy Boy and Matty being dragged along with this train of cars here, but G.Sealer on the hard tyres as well is in a good position along with Drauga, and obviously Mark, I think, has got to be the favourite for this win. Surely at this early stage in the race, you got to say it would be hard to look past him, but we don't want to curse him. We don't want to put too much pressure on him at this early stage in the race. Matty's got a 3-second penalty there for track limits. As we come back down towards the Parabolica once again, Drauga in hot pursuit here of Scott as they go through the corner. And we're watching Mark coming over the line here to complete 7th lap of the race. You've got Scott now in the pits, so another one of the medium starters coming in. As we see the Red Bull of G.Sealer there making the move to the inside of T in the background there into turn 1, and that is job done there for G.Sealer. Now into the podium places, obviously with 2 drivers ahead of him having pitted. Net 5th place at the moment for G.Sealer on the hard tyres. That's not a bad place to be at all. Next up the road for G.Sealer will be Drauga. But first he's got to make sure he stays ahead of T, because T's going to be looking to go for the immediate revenge here. But he's too far back going into the De La Roja chicane, and that's not going to happen just at the moment there for him. But Mark is out the front with a 5-second gap over Drauga. G.Sealer is already pulling up onto the back of Drauga. He's made light work here of cutting his way up towards the front. And I tell you what, he could have a good chance here of moving up into 2nd place, riding on board with G.Sealer as they come down towards Ascari under the old circuit. And definitely it's going to have a chance with DRS. Oh my goodness, was really on that curb there, wasn't he? Heavy on the curb. It can send you pirouetting very easily there. But nonetheless, G.Sealer down towards the final corner now, and we'll have DRS out of this final corner. So let's see what he's able to do here as they come out onto the start finish straight here at the end of lap 9. And I think Drauga was I think trying to confuse people there. Obviously he started on the hards. There was no way on earth he was going to be coming into the pits, but I wanted to make people think he might be anyway. And G.Sealer moving up into 2nd place, so that's now another move there for G.Sealer. He is passing drivers for fun in this opening phase of the race. His gap to Mark is currently 5 seconds. I reckon he might be going a fraction quicker than Mark at this point in the race, so G.Sealer could certainly be in with a shout of the win. If his pace is on the leader's pace, then for sure he could be in this fight for P1 here tonight. Obviously Clen has gone for a massive undercut and is running in 7th place. He's got 10 seconds of clear track ahead of him at the moment, so he'll be able to really get his foot down. Mark's gap to Clen, I think it's probably about a pit stop at this point. Obviously Clen has had to clear a little bit of traffic before we got to this point, but now he's in clear air. The gap is probably going to come down, and I'm sure that Clen will be ahead of Mark when Mark comes in. Question is how much he'll be ahead of him. And obviously Mark will have a small tyre offset at this point. If he were to pit now, if he were to leave it a few laps, he'll have a big tyre offset but a big gap to overhaul. So it's up to Mark what he... I remember from the race at Red Arrows that Monza on this game is very unpredictable with tyre wear. After about 18 laps the tyres can just go boom. So basically yeah, it's kind of the limit that you want to be pushing them. I don't know about the medium tyres, but the hards definitely have a shelf life. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to see, because I remember in that one there was an early safety car, and some drivers came. I think the safety car ended on about lap 8. So obviously drivers came in on lap 6 or 7, and yeah, we had tyres going bang on the last lap, and we had a few drivers coming in 3 laps from the end, playing it safe. So it was all very entertaining. But in the meantime, the gap is staying the same between Mark and G.C. right now. Drauga's still sticking to the back of G.C. despite losing the position a few moments ago. There's the rest of them coming through. There's Clen, the current net race leader, who's pitted very early on in this race, having started on the medium tyres. He's got to surely be two-stopping here. I mean, he can't be going 20 laps on the hard tyres, not unless you're a bit of a lunatic. As we see, Street Boys moved ahead of Manga up into 9th place. And Mark is still out the front here. And in fact, Mark is coming in. So Mark definitely two-stopping here tonight. G.C. staying out for the time being. So is Drauga. So the other two hard tyre starters staying out. Matty, who started on the hards, currently running in P5, is also coming in as well. So that means that there's only 2 drivers who started on the hards who are opting to keep with it at the moment, which indicates two-stop is 100% going to be the strategy of choice here tonight. So we see Mark's fitted the medium tyres on, and Matty's gone for... Oh no, Matty didn't come in. Sorry, I thought I saw... Did he have a drive-through? Because I swear I just saw Matty in the pits. I'm sure I saw Pitt come up next to Matty, but maybe I didn't. Maybe it's because maybe I saw the penalty, but I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I'm going mad. I think I saw Matty in the pits a second ago, but anyway, he can't have been because he's too close to the leaders, so it must have been his penalty that I saw. But nonetheless, so I do apologise for that. But Matty's still riding on the back of T at this moment in time, keeping him on his toes. Only a second between them at this point, so Matty only about sort of 5 seconds off of the lead at this point. There's obviously a long way to go, and G.C. isn't the net race leader at the moment. It's the Clen is the net race leader, but G.C. is going to have the advantage of fresher rubber from now to the end. Basically, he'll have a delta pretty much for the entirety of the race, as we can now see these two, the top 2 coming into the pits here. So, the 2 of the hard tyre runners coming in. G.C. Matty coming in, also T coming in and getting those medium tyres off. I wonder if T is going to try and do a one-stop here. He's done 11 laps on the medium, so it wouldn't be a crazy stretch to envisage that he might be doing 16 laps on the hards. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see T trying to make that one work, so we'll have to see how that one pans out at the moment. Nonetheless, Street Boy staying out on the hard tyres. Mango's come in at the end of lap 11, so he's now the next driver on the hards to get those tyres off. But Drauga staying out there, so is Street Boy. These 2 drivers, the only ones still yet to pit at the moment. You've got Scott, who's just got ahead of Street Boy up into... no, sorry, that's G.C. even, who's right behind Mo 1. He's going to have a chance, not quite at the moment. G.C. having to hold position for the time being. Oh, it's Street Boy there, wide out of Lesmo 1, and G.C. there making the move, going into Lesmo 2, so that's job done there for him. And no dramas whatsoever there from G.C. I have to say. That was easy pickings there from him. But Drauga here coming out of the final corner, and is going to come into the pits. So that just now leaves Street Boy to come in and make a pit stop here. It's Drauga coming in at end of lap 12. So 2 stops, probably 2 medium stints here for Drauga. That now releases Clen up into the lead once again. And Clen's gap over Mark after they've both been in, about 12 seconds, so that's what Clen gained. No, 6 seconds, bloody hell. 12 seconds would have been insane. So Clen leads the race by 6 seconds, obviously having come in 4 laps earlier. So that 4-lap undercut worked out about a second and a half a lap over Mark. But Mark's got some stiff competition here from Scott. And G.C. I think lost a bit of time by staying out an extra lap there. It's about 13 seconds off the lead, but with a big tyre offset in his favour. So let's see if G.C. can bring the gap down a little bit. Podiums could still be on. You never know what could happen to these guys up ahead, but just got to keep his head down and keep pushing. But Clen certainly looks like the man to beat right now. But Mark on his fresh medium tyres should be able to pull away from Scott and maybe might have a chance of hunting down the race leader. But Scott keeping himself close there through Ascari, and Mark not really closing the gap at this moment in time. So let's see if Scott's able to pile the pressure here on the back of the McLaren driver as they come through Parabolica here. So here we go then. Mercedes is going to have the slipstream and the DRS down the start finish straight. He's going to be getting a little bit closer here to the back of the McLaren, but Mark seems to be far enough ahead here. I don't think that Scott's going to be too much of a threat to him down towards turn 1, so Mark's going to hold on to second place for the time being. G.Sudot there with the fastest lap of the race, running in 4th place on those fresh medium tyres, about 12 seconds off of the leader right now, so gaining about a second a lap on Glenn at this moment in time. But that could certainly all change in the blink of an eye. Scott here still pretty close to the back of Mark right now into the second chicane. Gap still 6 seconds between Glenn and Mark, so it's not coming down really despite Mark's fresher tyres. He needs to be pumping in laps now if he wants to have any chance of winning this race, that's for sure. He needs to be ditching this Mercedes ASAP, pretty much. I don't know if you broke out of DRS there. No, Scott still got DRS, but Scott did not get a good exit out of Lesmo 2 at all. And as long as Mark can nail the Ascari chicane here, he might have a chance of getting out of DRS by the time we get down towards Parabolica. 9/10 of a second's the gap. Mark's still struggling to shake off this Mercedes. And obviously the longer that he takes to try and shake off this Mercedes, the more he's going to have to drive defensively, and that's only going to halt his chances of being able to try and chase after Glenn in this mid part of the race. So for the time being, Mark's still keeping Scott at bay but not making any inroads at all on the race leader. In the meantime, Street Boy still out on the track. He's done end of this lap will be 14 laps on these hard tyres, and he's staying out at least another lap here as T now with the slipstream, and he's going to make a move to the outside here with the slipstream there. Breezy's past him, and Matty's going to try and also knock Street Boy while he's down here as they come down towards turn 1, but T's got that move done up into P6 on his fresh hard tyres. His next target will be 3.5 seconds up the road in the shape of Rexy Boy, who's also on the hard tyres as well. There's Rexy Boy, there's T, not too far behind him right now. But Street Boy coming under pressure from Matty, who's going to be wanting to dispatch him as quickly as he can, because Matty's on the fresh medium tyres, so he's got the faster tyres compared to the likes of Rexy Boy and T, which means that he's got to make them work during this stint. He's really got to make the most of this tyre advantage that he's got, but he needs to get rid of this Ferrari as soon as possible, and Rexy Boy is currently, Street Boy even, is currently playing an absolute peach here for his teammate Rexy Boy, who is 3 seconds up the road. He's maximising the team's performance here for sure, and Street Boy is doing an absolutely cracking job there of holding up the Mercedes there of Matty and also the McLaren of T, who's now a couple of seconds up the road. So yeah, Street Boy's certainly done the job for his teammate there. I'm sure Rexy Boy is going to be pretty pleased with that one, but for the time being, Jalga's now also queuing up behind Street Boy here, and Jalga having a look here on the back of the Ferrari in towards Parabolica. He'll get a chance now coming down the main straight, and should hopefully for him be able to get ahead here down into turn 1. As here we go then, on board with the Haas car of Jalga to the inside, and that's going to be an easy move there without any dramas whatsoever, and up into P8 goes Jalga. So easy job there from him. In the meantime, Mark and Scott have both gained a little bit on Glenn. Scott's doing really well actually to keep on the back of Mark, because on the slower tyres, you know, you wouldn't think he'd be able to, but he's doing a cracking job right now. Mark's got the gap down to 5 seconds, so he's gained a couple of tenths, probably about 7 tenths since we last looked. It's about 6 seconds before in 2 laps. It's not too bad, but being on the mediums, obviously that advantage will erode pretty quickly as well. Glenn has got a penalty, which is one thing to keep an eye on here. Now they've all got a choice of what tyre they use for their final stint, because they've all used both compounds already. And when I say all, I mean the top 3. There's Glenn coming into the pits now, so the race leader who came in for that early first stop, as you would predict, coming in for an early second stop as well. And hard tyres going on for Glenn. Oh my goodness, was he serving a penalty there? Or was that lag? I think that was lag. So I think he's okay. But Clen nonetheless leaving the pits there. And he's come out just behind Rexy Boy, so he's going to have traffic here to have to contend with, which is not going to help him at all. This could be an opportunity for Mark to get back into this race here. How's Clen going to get on behind Rexy Boy? Rexy Boy on 6 lap older tyres. So in theory would have a lot worse pace, but it's not really many overtaking spots in this next sector. The first overtaking spot really is probably going to be down into Ascari with the DRS zone. If he can't get it done there, he's going to spend an entire lap behind this Ferrari, which is really going to cost him in his fight for the race win. So Clen's really got to get ahead of this Ferrari of Rexy Boy ASAP as we ride on board with the reigning champion and championship leader here tonight, as he gets a good exit here out of Lesmo 2, and that is like nitrous, isn't it? Look at that. Easy pickings there for Clen up into 4th place, and now he can proceed to try and ensure he still gets that undercut on Mark. So all in all, it's been a pretty good pit window there for Clen, as Mark's staying out. So Mark, I assume, is going to be trying to put the mediums on for the final stint, give himself a bit of a pace advantage. Problem is, at this point, is he's going to come out behind Rexy Boy and T no matter what. So he will have traffic, that's for sure, because Rexy Boy and T are not going to be coming in for a little bit. Possibly even they might be going to the end. I reckon. Well, we know that T's going to be trying a one stop, don't we? And I would have thought Rexy Boy might be giving it a go as well. So in which case Mark will have to overtake both of them on the track, as oh, Street Boy's got a penalty on his fresh medium tyres. Street Boy's picked up a 3-second penalty there. In the meantime, Rexy Boy has just been passed by T, so T up into 5th place. Obviously mentioned earlier how Street Boy was doing the perfect team game there, keeping T at bay. But Rexy Boy has now been passed by the McLaren, and up into 5th place goes T. You've got Matty now 4 seconds behind. Obviously he was held up by the other Ferrari quite a bit for a few laps, he was, so it was really a bit of a frustrating experience there for him. So he's got a few laps probably to try and catch up. But he's also got a penalty as well, and he's got the Haas of Drauga all over him in the battle for 7th place as well. So it's all go here at Monza tonight. But it's Mark still out the front, still bossing things as he has done since the very beginning of this race. It's been a phenomenal drive so far from Mark. But Clen is currently the net leader at this thing stand, because he came in a few laps ago and is getting a very healthy undercut at this point as well, that's for sure. So Mark's got to be going, I think, for a set of mediums for this final stint, which will mean he'll be able to really push them, because it's quite a late pit stop. He won't have to do too many laps on them. So Mark is going to be going all out for these final few laps. He'll have a little bit of a pace advantage over Clen, not a massive one, but for sure it will be something for him to really push for in the final few laps of the race. But Clen's got no traffic whatsoever. Mark is going to come out, I believe, at least just behind T. It might be close, actually, you know, might be quite close. If he's pulling away now, he might have a chance. But I don't know what his gap to T is at the moment. I think it's about 17-18 seconds, so it'll be very close by the time he comes out. It'll be ahead of Drauga and Matty Pitt, might be ahead of Rexy Boy. But Mark's going to be in a bit of a tricky situation here. And is he coming in? Yes, he is. So the race leader into the pits, the net race leader Clen, is going to move into 3rd place for the time being. That now promotes Scott up into the lead for the time being. Scott came in at the end of lap 7, so if he was to go to the end of the race, he'd have to do 20 laps on these tyres. G.C. came in on lap 12 and put the mediums on, so G.C.'s definitely got to pit again. There's absolutely no doubt about G.C. whatsoever. But Scott has a 10-second gap right now over Clen. Now if Scott doesn't pit again, he doesn't have to pit again, he's going to be on very shaky legs by the end of the race. But he's legally done all that he needs to do. Clen's got a 9-lap tyre delta on him, so 10 seconds with a 9-lap tyre delta is going to come down pretty quickly. But is it going to come down quickly enough? I mean, Clem could have a second a lap on him, but the gap's 9.5 seconds. So Scott might be alright here. I mean, I hadn't even factored in at this point that Scott could one-stop this, but he certainly could. He really, really could. All right, if he goes past the lap after this, I reckon we certainly could be seeing Scott doing a one-stop here, and that would be an absolute masterclass if he's able to make that work. He looks perfectly fine at the moment, to be fair. But is he going to come in? He is coming in. So Scott is not doing the one-stop. I thought he might be. He's not doing that, as G.C. follows him in. So Scott's going to have fresh tyres for the final stint. Not much fresher than Mark's though. Only a lap fresh. He'll come out some way behind him on the track. Rexy Boy's coming for fresh medium tyres. It's currently running in P6 at the moment. Also you've got Drago and Matty also on fresh mediums as well. But Scott coming out of the pits now. Little way behind Mark, not that far behind him, about 4 or 5 seconds behind Mark. So on fresher tyres that could be a battle. Probably won't be because the tyre delta isn't enough really for Scott to reel that gap in. But this now means that Glenn is 11 seconds clear of Mark with 7 laps left in the race. He has got, I think he's got 2 penalties to his name though, 6 seconds worth. Yeah, he has. So if Mark can get within 6 seconds of Glenn, then he will be able to win this race. He's currently 10.8 seconds behind at the moment, but he is on fresher tyres, he is on faster tyres. So if Mark can gain 5 seconds in 6 laps, then he will win this race. I mean, it's possible. It's certainly on the cards. Glenn could be feeling the pressure at this point in this situation as well, which could only serve to advantage Mark a little bit here. But this is going to be a fascinating end to the race. When is T going to come into the pit? Surely he's got to come in at some point. Just remind ourselves what tyres T is on. So yeah, he's obviously... So T obviously put the hard tyres on at the end of lap 12. So T is probably one stopping here. But he is going to be a sitting duck for the likes of Mark and Scott. Possibly G.C. as well. Running in P5 at the moment. So it's going to be interesting. But all of these guys are good to go to the end, but T is going to be struggling in these last couple of laps of the race. But he could play an absolute corker. But you wouldn't think he'd be wanting to hold his teammate up, because you know his teammate could be in the fight for the win here with Glenn, with Glenn's 6-second penalty. So I wouldn't have thought he'd want to be keeping him behind if Mark pulls up onto the back of him. I think we'll be seeing a bit of a swapsy between those two. And Mark will have DRS in a moment. So coming down the main straight this time, I reckon we're going to see a swap from these two McLarens. I think they're better off holding position up to Parabolica, because then Mark will get the DRS. So these guys are smart about this. They'll hold position down here and then ensure that they can choreograph the move down the start-finish straight, and Mark can then maximise his speed down the straight with DRS. So here we go then. This is going to be Mark moving through surely into second place, you would think, as the DRS opens there on the other McLaren. But T seems to be a bit too far ahead here, so T's managed to pull out a bit of a gap here as they came out of Parabolica down the straight. So T for the time being still well ahead of Mark, and the McLaren still as you were. The gap 10 seconds now between Glenn, and 10.8 still between Glenn and Mark. So it hasn't come down at all. It's staying the same. So Glenn looking to be pretty much in cruise control still at the moment in this one, with 5 laps left to go in this race. I can't see it changing right now, to be honest with you. As here we go then. Mark to the inside, backs out of it as he was down the inside going into Ascari, but didn't feel confident enough to make that move on the inside of his teammate as they come down the back straight once again towards the Parabolica. So Mark not quite able to make that one stick as they went into the corner. As here they come then, about to start lap 24 of the race, with 4 laps left to go here in at Monza for this Italian Grand Prix here tonight. There is Glenn and here is Mark. Once again on the back of his teammate, down towards turn 1. Is he going to go late on the brakes here? T's been very late on the brakes every single time through that corner there, and is able to keep ahead of his teammate on the inferior tyres. There is T, but nonetheless is still giving this a fight here. Now down through the Curva Grande, and Mark is going to be on the outside down towards the De La Rocha chicane. Is he going to be able to get it around him here? Again backs out of it, and doesn't really look like he's in much of a hurry to make this move at all, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Scott now waiting in the wings. Scott will be on the podium here tonight because he's within 3 seconds of T, who's got a penalty, and he's obviously got better tyres than him as well at this point. So Scott on course for a top 3, G.C. as well. Will be moving up a position up into 4th place as things stand. Well, actually no, at this point he won't, but well, I think he's on better. Everyone's got better tyres than T at this point, so I think probably that G.C. will be within the striking distance by the time we get to the end of the race. But anyway, down towards Parabolica once again. McLaren's just started lap 25, the race leader, as we see the battle for second rages on going through the final corner. But Mark here now looks to the inside, down the straight once again, and DRS open here. And this time he's going to get it done way before we get to the corner, as now T's got to watch out because he's got Scott all over the back of him down towards turn 1. Has a look to the inside as always. T, every time he gets past down that straight, he always throws a little dummy to the inside, but he's not able to keep Mark at bay there. And now Scott's going to be looking pretty racy here on the back of the McLaren down towards the De La Rocha chicane. He's a bit too far away there though, as we saw T having a slightly defensive line there. Scott getting a good drive going out of Lesmo 1. Had a little look there to the inside, but was just a bit too far away there. Now out of turn 2, out of Lesmo 2 again, and T didn't look too comfortable out of there, did he? He's also out of DRS now to Mark, so this could present Scott with a golden opportunity here to make the move for a podium place. G.C. is right with these guys as well now, so he's surely going to be fancying his chances of a podium, running in P5 at the moment. But if he can pass Scott, then it will be a podium finish for G.C., which I'm sure he'll take off to the first lap here tonight. But for the time being, T is still holding on to the position on the track, whilst his teammate disappears off down the road in P2. So Mark's got second place covered here tonight, that's for sure. This is the fight for the podium places then. It's between Scott and G.C. realistically, because T with the penalty is not going to have a chance to finish ahead of these guys. Scott down the inside into turn 1 and makes that move up into the podium places once again. But can G.C. get past T and challenge Scott for third place here tonight? Here we go, G.C. to the outside now, coming through the Curva Grande to the inside, going into the De La Rocha chicane. They're side by side here, almost making contact there as they came into the braking zone. As T manages to go very late on the brakes there, holds it around the outside. G.C. going to go for the cutback here, coming down towards Lesmo 1. He can't quite get it done, and T manages to cling onto it by the skin of his teeth there. That was a tight moment there, as T was very loose there on the exit of Lesmo 1. Again, G.C. looking to the inside. Again, T is able to hold his nerve, but this time G.C. going to have DRS down the little straight down towards Ascari, and absolutely breezes past him there under the old circuit into the Ascari chicane, and that is G.C. up into 4th place without any further ado there. And he had to make that move because Scott has now got a 6-second penalty, which means that as long as G.C. can stay within 3 seconds of Scott, then G.C. will be getting third place here tonight. So all of his hard work and perseverance is going to pay off at the end of this race. He's been keeping going, he's been plugging away for this entire race, and he is going to be on the podium as a result of it. So well done to G.C. That's a phenomenal achievement there from him. As we see, we've got Clend coming down towards the De La Rocha chicane here on lap 27 of the race. His gap currently 12 seconds over Mark at this point. There is Scott ahead of G.C. and T. But Clen has been the dominant force here tonight. It's been a masterclass from the reigning champion and championship leader. Came into tonight knowing tonight was going to be a massive opportunity, with Justify not being here. His championship rival sits 4 points behind him in the championship. Clen is going to and it's going to do it in absolute style here tonight as well. Didn't just edge this one, he's been completely on another planet from all of these drivers here tonight as he comes through the Parabolica for the final time. And Klen is going to extend his gap to 29 points in the championship here in season 14 for Purple Sector. Over the line he comes to take the checkered flag here at Monza. He is the winner of the Italian Grand Prix here for this season. It's going to be Mark out of the final corner who's going to bring it home in second place, 14 seconds behind in the end. And yeah, just wasn't able to offer him a fight at all in the final stint. G.C. completes the podium ahead of Scott in fourth, with T over the line in P5. Rexy Boy is going to hold off Drauga by the looks of it as they come now down towards the final corner. So Rexy Boy is going to maintain P6 over the line ahead of Drauga in 7th, with Matty Pitt over the line in 8th place. A bit of a gap back to these guys here. Mango just ahead of John. Street Boys already finished the race a lap down in 11th place, so these guys on the lead lap. John getting another point onto his total here for this season. Mango here, I think is it Mango's first points as well this season? It might well be, but Mango comes over in P9 with John in 10th, and that is that for the race. So excellent stuff there, considering it was only an 11 car field. I have to say that was pretty good. That was exciting stuff. Hopefully next week we'll have a full grid of 16, because I know that obviously the league has lost a few drivers this season, a few very familiar faces not in the league anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but yeah, it is what it is. So that is that then for tonight for this Italian Grand Prix, and congratulations to Claire on yet another win here this season, and threatening to run away with the championship. And this is the part of the season I was saying on Tuesday night as Anvor. This last part of the season is the part of the season where Klen really excels. If past this prologue, obviously we know from last season it was yeah, very, very one-sided in terms of the race wins. So Klen currently with the upper hand, and certainly looking like the favourite here for the season 14 Purple Sector Formula 1 League title. So he could become a double champion here at Purple Sector if all can continue as it is. But thanks everybody for watching this back to the drivers. I hope it did it justice, and if you did enjoy, then that makes me absolutely delighted. But thanks everybody, and we'll see you all next week.